Radical Radio Collective.
Good afternoon, listeners. You're tuned in to 4ZZZ 102.1 FM. This is Ecoradio, Australia's longest-running peace and environment radio show. Did you know that, Zack?
I didn't know that. You're very revealing.
Yeah, we only
you
say
know
it
a lot.
every week, but yeah.
That shows how much I'm paying attention.
Well, we're taking over your middle of the day, middle of the week, middle of the month airwaves.
More or less.
My name's Dave. My pronouns are he, him.
My name is Zack. My pronouns are he, they.
And I want to start off by acknowledging and paying my respects to the custodians on the country in which we broadcast. We're located in the city Mungin on Turrbal, Yugga and Yugambeh land. I also want to acknowledge and pay my respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are listening in today. Our radio waves reach Kubiko and Jinbarra country in the north, Waka Waka country in the west. In the east we pay our respects to the Quandamooka people, and down south we reach the Commonwealth in the Gadigal, Munjali, Wandjeribarra and Yugambeh countries. So Zack, today on the show we've got a very special reporter.
Okay.
That has come back to do a interview piece about the second annual Tamborine Mountain Edible Garden Trail.
Very renowned reporter.
Very renowned, eloquent, articulate.
He's taken time out of his busy schedule just for us.
He has indeed. That's Wavey Beach, probably the longest running Ecoradio presenter, and it is actually like probably pretty busy at the moment because Tamborine got smashed, and that's where this interview is coming from. Where he's going to be talking to Bron Kelly about the Tamborine Mountain Edible Garden Trail, which was scheduled for Sunday, March 23, but has now been pushed back to June.
Cool.
What? Maybe. I'm not sure on the dates.
You can just get super excited up, like you've got that much more time to mentally prepare for it now. Get yourself super pumped up for it.
Yeah, fast and make sure you've got plenty of belly space for the edible gardens.
Not
we're going to be talking to Wavey in a couple of minutes. You're listening to 4ZZZ. This is Eco Radio.
4ZZZ's Radio Reversal has gone digital. Since 2012, the collective have been building a record of radio theorising, organising, mistake-making, rethinking and community building that happens across this city. So, if 1 hour a week isn't enough for you, head to radioreversal.substack.com to learn more about the Radio Reversal podcast, or listen to the full episodes via your favourite podcasting app.
Welcome back. You're listening to 4ZZZ. This is Eco Radio, and right now we've got our intrepid reporter on the line, Wavey Beach. Wavey, how are you doing? Good.
Overlooking a bit of flood water still remaining down in between shifts down here on the Gold Coast. Bigara Creek. It's a Yugambeh language word for the red ironbark trees that are around us, and from the Yugambeh language group of the Kumbameri people, I'm pretty sure. But yes. So and I'd like to acknowledge the old ways of the forests of even my own people, my own German Lutherans, and all of us, as we've been reminded of other ways of living, simpler ways of living.
Yeah,
that we'll swing across the water here.
Yeah, and I guess there's a lot of people that have to take those simple ways. You know, when we go without power, or facing the destruction of our infrastructure.
The kick in the pants comes for us all sometimes, in minor and large ways. Yeah,
it sure does. But you're going to be, we're going to play an interview that you did about people who are going back to those simpler ways and growing their own food.
Yes. Most of them have been around done some permaculture courses up on the mountain, but not everybody. And Bron Kelly has been leading the charge there's an edible exchange group up there as well, been going for a while, and I refer to that in the chat with her as well. And advancing to getting this food trail together. I'm pretty sure she's also getting one together in the Gold Coast as well. Quite a little powerhouse of a person. So, yeah, we just chatted a bit about gardening and the things that are great about it, as well as, organising in a broad general way. But, of course, as you might expect, with the damage that will have occurred, and also not expecting the ground to dry out very quickly up there. Certainly on my own place, the water aquifers were spewing out of the ground alongside of the torrent of the catchment area that comes through my place.
Yeah, I've seen some footage, just really intense overland flow and also the aquifers being pushed to the limits.
Yes, for sure, filled.
All right, so let's go into this interview now. Could you introduce it for us?
Yeah, sure. Well, we were sitting at Bron's place there on, we will call it Wangirabara country, as they would come up from the that northeast and northwestern side, up from the town of Tamborine, which got quite flooded down the back there too, and access its resources. Have been blessed to be meeting a few folks. So, yeah. Away we go. Then let Bron introduce herself.
Yeah, okay. Well, you're listening to 4ZZZ. This is Ecoradio.
I am Bron Kelly. I'm living on Tamborine Mountain, beautiful part of the world, and have recently started organising a couple of events in the community. The one we're talking about today is the Tamborine Mountain Edible Garden Trail.
So what excites you about gardens?
Ooh. Gardens, specifically edible gardens. I think they've become my thing.
Yeah.
I think I always gardened as a kid, like with a little bit of help from Dad, but edible gardens particularly, I love. As you know, as you've come in this afternoon, as we've wandered around, it's here, grab a tomato and taste that one, and let's walk around the other side of the garden and taste that one and how different they taste. And wandering out in the afternoon and grabbing what you're eating for dinner from literally 5 metres away. I love that. I love that ability to choose your own adventure with food.
And all aspects of it, I suppose, really, in the broadest possible sense?
Yeah, very true. So I don't know if your listeners know, you and I know each other from being on the mountain, and we also both did a permaculture course up here, not at the same time, but with the same crew. And just that sense of planning a garden, thinking about soil, like it's really about soil. And I don't think, I thought it was about the plants. I get now, and I thought it was just about picking my own salad in the afternoon. I get that it's about soil now.
So you really enjoy that bit about the soil and the sciencey side of it, or just getting your hands dirty?
My science brain is very underdeveloped. So I think it's getting my hands dirty, learning more about it as I go, knowing that most of the things I do in the garden go back to the soil, and they start from the soil, but they go back to the soil. So whether that's my chickens that are wandering around us now, and their droppings go into the compost that goes back into the soil. Whether it's the end of a crop and chopping down the summer corn and mulching it back into the soil for the next, to support the soil for the next crop. All those aspects of it, I get really excited by now. It's like I barely do a trip to the dump, because all of the green waste stays on the property, unless it's a big tree that we've had to take down or something like that. All of these smaller elements of the garden stay in the garden. I love that closed loop of the whole process.
So have you been able to get so excited about the organising side of things?
Absolutely. Took me a second to say that, but absolutely. It's a different, it's a whole different ball game, obviously, to gardening myself. But it is absolutely an extension of it. So the friends I made along the way in our permaculture course are at least 3 of the garden hosts on the garden trail this year. We've all sort of really connected with each other over this common sort of joy of growing and being in the garden with food, and bringing that all together. It's like I actually don't do the hardest part of it. The garden host getting their spaces ready, they're doing the manual labour of it. I just get to promote it and take beautiful photos in their spaces and talk to them about how much they love growing food, in the way I do, and we get to share that. And then as an extension of that, we get to share it with a broader audience who are wanting to learn as well. So that does really excite me. It's not without challenge, and it takes energy, but in the best possible way.
So this, the audience, the Triple Z audience will be listening are mainly Southeast Queenslanders, but I was surprised to realise there's not actually that many of tours like this around.
Yeah, so I certainly got inspired by the organisers of the Samford Edible Garden Trail, just up in Brisbane. They're a great group of people and put on such an amazing weekend.
It's more springtime?
They're in May. I think they're about the third weekend in May. And so they have about 14 gardens over a weekend, and that was truly inspiring, just the way volunteers come together, garden hosts come together, and they've got vastly different growing spaces. The ideas that come out of a weekend like that are so great.
Well, you can go around to different gardens, as you might be able to hear as well. Absolutely. On March the 23rd.
Yes,
Sunday,
that's it.
To see those different styles, just create so many ideas.
Yeah, that's it. And the lovely part of it is that you either get you get a map, and you get the order of the gardens, but you can choose how long you stay in a garden. You can choose whether you just wander through in 5 minutes or stay for half an hour and chat to the owner.
Each garden has a map of their garden.
Well, so the one that we're running up here, we've chosen to go digitally.
Right.
So instead of printing out trail guides and maps,
black cockatoo.
Yeah, it's that time of day. There he is. Looking for somewhere safe to land.
Chatting to his mates somewhere.
So if you buy a ticket, the week of the event, we email you out a digital trail guide to save on any sort of printing. We're trying to reduce our impact in that way as well. And then you get all of the information around where the gardens are, what the terrain is like. So if it's the wild hillside, it's a super steep garden, and so you'll know before you get there that could be a challenging terrain for you. You may choose to go to Radley's Rest, and that's a much softer slope and a different style of garden. So you'll get something different at each of the gardens, and you can plan your day well and truly beforehand, so you know which way you want to go and for how long.
And there's some that are quite accessible in an accessibility sense as well.
In terms of mobility, absolutely. Yeah. I would say the only one that is challenging is the wild hillside. So the rest of them are definitely, don't have the same sort of incline and are, much easier to get around. Not so much in terms of wheelchair access.
Probably not, yeah.
And I think that is something I'd love to work towards in the future. The challenge around that is these gardens aren't show gardens; they're functional gardens that people are growing in every day. So you can't necessarily choose based on that. But in terms of accessibility, Gertie's just with us, our little Plymouth Rock chook. She's come to say hi. In terms of accessibility, this year we have actually booked a couple of really wonderful Auslan interpreters. My background is actually deaf education. I was a teacher of the deaf for many years, and so I've got some really lovely connections to the deaf community. So Duke and Megan will be on board with us for the day, and they'll be in the gardens providing language access.
And can be contacted ahead of time to potentially know where they're going to be and all that kind of thing for anyone who wants to utilise that? Yeah,
good question. So the schedule for the interpreters will come out with the digital guides. So in each of the gardens, it'll show what time there's an interpreter there. And we've got several kind of mini presentations or demonstrations this year. A couple of permaculture ones talking about permaculture zones with Doreen from Nourish Landscapes, and social permaculture with Guy and Toad from Permaqueer. So the interpreters will be on board for those demonstrations as well. So they'll definitely be in the gardens providing access.
So there's a bunch of various presentations that are listed through the thing at certain times.
Yeah, so that'll
Sunday.
that will all be in the digital trail guide. So you'll get that. So the event is on the Sunday, the 23rd, and you'll get the trail guide on Sunday the week before, and that'll give you plenty of time to kind of go, okay, this presentation's on at 11. It has Auslan access. I'll be there for that one, and that might just help you coordinate where you'll be at what time during the day.
And that was part one of our interview with Bron Kelly, organiser of the second annual Tamborine Mountain Edible Garden Trail. You're listening to 4ZZZ. This is Ecoradio.
Hi, I'm Ruby and I'm a galah. You know, a bird. I go off my nut if I don't have 4ZZZ on to keep me company when my human is away. My human even bought me a 4ZZZ pet subscription. They're only $25. Why is it us birds are overlooked all the time? Why is it cats and dog owners buy pet subscriptions? They don't even sing or dance. Didn't I say a 4ZZZ subscription only costs me $25? Help keep us pets from stressing out. Support community radio or I'll pull my feathers.
We're on the line with Wavey Beach, who has conducted an interview for us from Bron Kelly about the annual Tamborine Mountain Edible Garden Trail. Wavey, there was a few special guest bird interviews in that first part.
Yeah, they've been coming around a bit more lately. I know it's really interesting to notice that they're never in the sky at the same time as the white fellas.
Yeah, right.
White chesties, yeah.
The black cockatoos are never there at the same time as the white cockatoos, sulphur crescent.
And they've been coming kind of down a bit closer in. I've easily been seeing heaps more of them lately. I've probably been a bit more aware of them. But yeah, not like the big flocks of white sulphurs that get around everyone's yard and eat all your passion fruits and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, no. All right, well, speaking of passion fruits, we're going to go back into the second part of the interview with Bron Kelly about the Tamborine Mountain Edible Garden Trail.
Not forgetting that the dates are wrong.
Yes. So do you have the right or approximate right dates for us, Wavey?
Yeah, just late June was all Bron had to say.
Okay. Yeah, so it's been postponed, obviously. There's a lot of damage, but also just the saturation in the ground.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, and everyone's focused on doing other recovery kind of aspects, really, too, for each other. Like, we'll be one of the last areas to come off power, but then a lot of people are prepared with generators, so you definitely get that hum through the evening and the day around the place.
Oh, yeah.
Not everybody. Some people just on their little batteries and stuff like that. Go, oh, no, but that's for afterwards. That's right.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go to
trail coming up soon too, as we mentioned. I don't know if it's coming, but in Samford in May. So there'll be things to keep a plug on in the Bushcare Roundup as well.
Yeah, so plenty of things to be a part of. So let's go to the part two of your interview with Bron Kelly. You're listening to Ecoradio. This is part two of the interview with Bron Kelly about the Tamborine Mountain Edible Garden Trail.
So, Bron, you've also convened previously, after you did the permaculture course, we were talking about the Eagle Heights Edible Exchange. And this one was around COVID time, and I think, like you mentioned, there was one in Samford, and it kind of spurned a bit of a period of that. But anyway, so it's been going through its roundabouts over time. And what would you say is your greatest learning from running something like that? And the greatest thing to get out of, but the things for people thinking about, because anyone could set up an edible exchange any old where with, little provisos here and there, of course, but I'm thinking in the human terms largely too, as in, because this is a real getting people together and what's been your greatest learning of that as far as, being an organiser of people, I guess. And
So I think you just answered it for me. So I think the answer is it's always about people. Whether it's a trail day event, whether it's managing a garden, whether it's
the crop swap day,
right? The crop swap, whether it's building the edible exchange, which is essentially, if you look at it, it's just a roadside stall. That's all it looks like, but it's not a roadside stall. What it is a place where people gather to share knowledge, swap excess produce, to share tips and recipes around homemade, jams and other things that they're bringing and dropping off. It's a place to, give people advice on, have you ever made kombucha or sourdough? Here's a SCOBY, here's a sourdough starter. Let me help get you started.
Oh, yeah, there's been little recipe groups that sprung off out the side.
Yeah, and so when it first started, and it was sort of, 2021 maybe, or 22, and we had people that were really isolating themselves in their homes, and a couple of ladies said this has actually been the main opportunity I've had to meet neighbours and meet people in the street, and I wasn't really doing much else, but this has given me that place to come to do that, even if it is 10 minutes a day. And then I go home and I've just learnt something new, so I put that into practice, and then I get to bring that back to other people. So it's been this really beautiful sharing, and that's one of those ethics around people care, earth care and fair share in, the permaculture space, that it's this beautiful living example of that. And so, I love that about that, and that's what that teaches me, that these things aren't about just reducing food waste. They're about the people that are reducing the food waste. It's not about I've got loads of this and you've got none of that. It's about how we share that I've got some of that so I can help you grow that, and then we've all got enough of it. So it's definitely always about people, whether you're managing an event and you're managing volunteers and garden hosts and audience, or whether you're getting the 1,400 people that we've got on that edible garden, the edible exchange now. It's coordinating them, it's sharing the guidelines around how we do it in an abundant way. So it's not, you're not excluding people from this, and you're allowing people into the crop swap, and you're sharing those ideas, and you're caring for each other, and you're connecting in that way that, I don't know, it feels like it's a much more comforting, soothing kind of way of being in the world to me.
So no problem is insurmountable?
Not insurmountable. Some things are challenging, and they take a moment to panic and and realise that there's all of a sudden a challenge, and it may feel insurmountable. But again, it comes back to people, because I had a challenge through the week around the trail event, and I panicked for a moment, and then I realised I had this really good emotional first aid network. And I called one person, I called another person, and we solved it in about 10 minutes. And that, to me, is the power of community and connecting.
So everybody's opportunity to come and learn about the power of community and connecting is on Sunday, March the 23rd on Tamborine Mountain, all across the whole mountain, pretty much. It's its second annual one. It's a Sunday. Search that. You should find everything you need to know, would you say? Tamborine Mountain Edible Garden Trail.
That's it. Tickets are via the website this year.
And you'll get all your info sent digitally.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
You're the best.
Bron.
Thanks, Wave.
And that was Wavey's intrepid reporting done on Tamborine Mountain. We talk to Wavey right now. Wave, how have the times changed for that event? It's no longer happening on the 23rd of March?
Everybody's more focused on cleaning up for them and their neighbours and families. And, not probably the gardens are a little bit down the trail, although they're probably doing well by them now, because they'll be able to utilise it rather than the empty shelves. I mean, as normal, it's better than that anyway, of course. To put it back to generally a drier time in late June, when they'll hopefully have a fresh round of their winter crops on the go. It'd probably be worth might be able to. Oh no, never mind. All that stuff about the accessibility interpreter, that was nice and interesting anyway, that they've gone to that extra effort.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Accessibility is a huge, important factor. And we were talking off air a little bit about the difference between the cyclone at Tamborine and the hurricanes. No, not the hurricanes, the tornadoes that happened last year.
Tornado. Was it officially actually a tornado? Did they call it that? That's what it's called.
Yeah.
You know, as a storm event.
Yeah,
Or
because
is
it didn't
just
come
blown
from
up
the
itself?
ocean. It came from the land.
Yeah, right. Yep. Right. But perhaps more akin to some of the supercells that we're getting and storms that winds swirl and they come from everywhere, as opposed to the much more unidirectionalness that we had of these winds from this cyclone event.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What differences have you noticed?
Sorry?
What differences have you noticed?
Well, it depended on folks on the mountain, which side they were on, who got more hit by it. So people down on the south side, actual, Mount Tamborine, suburb of Mount Tamborine, were hit by the winds as they were coming more from the south and up over the Caldera. But where I am around a bit more on the northeast facing side, it was a little bit sheltered, although branches still came down. But then when the day after, when the rains came, that was more when it turned around from the east and it really hit our area harder. My neighbour had one of the gum trees, thankfully, just gently loll over and had a kid's playground to break its fall as well and didn't bust the roof completely.
That's good.
But yeah, largely just kind of branches and big branches. The one in the middle of the gully where I am, which is a bit more isolated, dropped a few big guys. But I think you generally see in these events that the trees that are all together, they're certainly a bit more protected. There's certainly factors where some of the foreign trees are not as tough as the natives.
Yeah. And it's nice to see that the community gets together and it's not just waiting for, I'd say, government to come fix everything.
Yes. They had a bit of a town hall meeting yesterday, and it was acknowledged that, especially the recent experience of last year, but longer residents know that, it's often the case storms, and where you've got trees, of course, they're going to fall on our lines, and so people are quite used to having power outs now and then, although they were, it was a bit longer last year, and we're still the longest this year, probably. So there's that readiness, people had prepared with their electricity factors, but also just that, certainly coming out in the street at quiet times and people, certainly in my area chatting to each other and going checking on folks, and just the bloke from down the road, practical old Zane, getting around with his chainsaw and I heard this chainsaw, hey, there he was up at my driveway chopping up the branches, and I was looking forward to a bit of fun and physicalness with that. But anyway, I couldn't stop him on the go. But he knew what he was doing. He was very good. I watched him pulling apart a tree that was leaning on another one. It was a bit precarious, but he did it so well.
Yeah, great. All right, well, I'm glad everyone's safe up there, Wavey.
Sorry?
I'm glad everyone's safe up there.
Yeah, well, I didn't think there was a couple of people washed off, as they do, but not too bad, same with last year, really, anyway.
Yeah.
Human survivalness, but... and hopefully, plenty of other animal survivalness and the other, recognising the power of this thing that is upon us, and we are absolutely subservient to and dependent upon, and not so alpha when it comes to events like this.
No, we're not the big dogs when it comes to storms.
To the weather.
To the weather at all.
You can control the weather? Oh, my lordy bee. What are they thinking?
Yeah.
We might be able to twiddle at the edges a bit, but certainly, in the terms of, the amount of shit that's been dug up and burnt and smelted and all that's absolutely having its anthroposophic impact, or whatever you call it.
Yeah, anthropogenic. Thanks very much, Wavey, for bringing us that interview. It's always a pleasure to hear from you, and I'm sure the listeners are more than happy to have the intrepid reporter from Tamborine Mountain back with us anytime.
And don't forget, of course, the old ways of something like radio and 4ZZZ. In this 50th birthday year, I've got to just get a quick plug-in for. I put my little proposal in for a fashion parade somewhere at one of these events, that's for sure. People in their various ways, they've attired themselves in the 4ZZZ gear.
Yeah, that'd be great to see vintage tees.
Or knitted their own cardigan with the Curly Z logo emblazoned into the back of it as well.
Oh, yeah.
Some old practical geezer did that in his youth.
That would be awesome.
And as well, to make a more intrepid effort, or not intrepid, to search back old contacts and find this actual original story of this potentially, peace and environment show, could be certainly amongst the oldest in the country, but there's probably an older purely environment show or a purely peace show down in Melbourne or somewhere, but that's the glory of the combinatoriness of 4ZZZ and Brisbane, where we all get together more happily.
Yeah. All right, thanks very much, Wavey.
Yeah.
You're listening to 4ZZZ. This is Ecoradio.
You're listening to Ecoradio on 4ZZZ 102.1 FM. Everything's connected.
You are listening to Ecoradio on 4ZZZ 102.1 FM. Everything is connected.
Yeah, that's a nice one to do, yeah.
We'll get there eventually, Dave. We'll be able to sync up on that one too at some point.
Yeah, we've got to do all the singing. We just heard then from the Full Creams with Slappy, and before that was King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard with Rattlesnake. Jordan is nodding her head over in Studio 2.
Yeah, she
loving
knows that
loving the giz.
The word rattlesnake is said 54 times in that song.
54. Not enough times, I don't reckon, in that 7-minute 48-second song.
That's like, I don't know.
I reckon they should have doubled it.
That's like only 7 rattlesnakes per minute. Bit more.
Yeah,
more, yeah.
Nothing.
7 to 8, yeah.
Nothing. And you are listening for 4ZZZ. This is Eco Radio. I am Dave.
I am Zack.
And if you like what we do here at 4ZZZ in general, or here specifically on Eco Radio, you can become a subscriber. It's the original Patreon where you sign up to be a member of the wonderful Z family. Subscriptions range from $25 to $500, so there's a lot of leeway in there for your monetary abilities.
That is per year rather than per month.
That is per year, yeah.
Which I always feel like is important to add, just because so many subscriptions are monthly in this day and age.
Well, if you do sign up this month for anything, if you want to get a pet subscription or give someone else a subscription, you'll go in the running to win a month in the month of March. You could win 3 mixed cartons of craft beer from White Lies Brewing, and they are also throwing in a $50 Yeasty Boys voucher for their wood-fired pizzas while they're down there at the Sumner Brewery.
Nice.
And while you're down at the Sumner Brewery, they've actually got really cool art all up on their walls.
It was, some of that art was made by one of the two of us.
Yeah.
From what I know.
Me?
Yes.
Yeah.
No beating around the bush.
Yeah,
anymore.
no, White Lies are fantastic supporters of the local art scene as well. And, they offered to put my art up on the walls. So you go down, have a look at art, do some criticising of art, do some criticising of pizza, do some criticising of craft beer, and just enjoy yourself. While you're down there, there's also some really nice parks.
There are some nice parks.
Right across the way there is Rocks Riverside Park, a nice big park, and has a old sand quarry. Mm-hmm. And there's also some great bush regeneration that's gone on all around there. Speaking of bush regeneration,
whoa, crazy!
I'm just hitting each turn of phrase to a different subject. You can listen to us now. We're going to do the Bushcare Roundup.
It's a Bushcare Roundup. They've been pulling out weeds, and then they put in trees. It's the Bushcare Roundup.
The Bushcare Roundup. This is our weekly list of volunteering events happening around southeast Queensland that you can get involved in that help the environment and peace in our countries. So happening Friday the 14th at 7 o'clock, you can go to Cane Toad Catching Night. That's happening at Spring Lake Parklands, Springfield Lakes.
On Saturday the 15th from 7 till 9 there is the March Bushcare Working Bee at Kalinga Park in Kalinga. From 8 till 10 we have the Rome Street Bushcare, and that one is at Rome Street in Norman Park, surprisingly. Then at from 9 till 11 we have the Learn About Eucalyptus Trees at 34 Wanderer Crescent, Springfield Lakes. For that one you'll be walking around with Professor Rod Fensham from the University of Queensland, and he'll teach us some things about eucalyptus trees.
Yeah, he's written the book or the pamphlet of eucalyptus trees in southeast Queensland. Really fascinating talk that'll be.
Yeah, then from 10 till 5 there is the Paradise Street Community Garden and Working Bee at 29 Paradise Street, Highgate Hill. Then finally, to wrap up Saturday from 3:30 till 5:30, there is the Yeronga Bushcare March 2025, and that one is at Anita Street, Yeronga.
Happening on Sunday the 16th, starting at 7 o'clock, you can go to Harman's Reserve Bushcare Working Bee. That's 34 Wood Street in Manly. At 8 o'clock, you can go to the March Bushcare Working Bee at Riverdale Park in Meadowbrook. At 9 o'clock, you can go to Springbrook Weed Busters. That's happening at Old School Road in Springbrook. At 2 o'clock, you can go Bushcare and Beer at Oxley Creek Common at Rocklea, and then at Helios Brewery. And at 4 o'clock, you can go to the Moolambin Rewilding. That's happening at the Maruka Lions Bicentennial Christmas Ground. That's a mouthful, happening in Yeronga. And that's all we've got time for. Mr. Starlin texts in saying, still the best sting getting around. That's very nice of you. Thank you very, very much, Mr. Starlin. And you've been listening to 4ZZZ. This is Ecoradio. Thanks, everyone, for staying safe out there, and I hope the damage wasn't too much.
Stick around from 1 till 3. Jordan will be taking care of you. They always guarantee to play some groovy tunes.
Yeah.
So hang around for that. Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to 4ZZZ. This has been Ecoradio.
4ZZZ. Ecoradio. Radical Radio Collective. 4ZZZ.